All right, guys, we're gonna check out the Streacom booth right now.
Good.
I'm here with Mehmet from Streacom.
Yeah. Hi.
So,
Hi.
And we're gonna check out some of the new, some of the Streacom goodies here. So let's take a look.
First up is the SG10. This is a fully passive system capable of 600 watts total. There's two separate loops, one for the CPU and one for the GPU. They use a R1223ZD refrigerant. Heat from the components evaporates this refrigerant and it moves up through stainless steel tubes into the condensers, and as it cools, the liquid drops back down and the cycle repeats. So this demo system here uses a 13900K and a 4080, and while the CPU is throttling here, the card itself is at a decent temperature for a fanless system.
We are close to 100. We are at maximum for the CPU now.
Right.
At 200. For the GPUs, we are close to 310 watts. And the temperature are close to 80.
80.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind, this is completely silent, passive.
Absolutely.
And that's what's amazing about this setup here.
Yeah.
And of course, a user doesn't have to choose a 13900K. Something like this, you can go 13600K, and then it'd be perfectly, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Front IOs, you can actually move anywhere on the front. The power button, you know.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Move it down.
They are in final stages of development here, and they're hoping this goes into production soon. Next up, they showed their VU1 meters. These use an e-ink display to display, well, just about any metric that can be represented this way.
The way it's working right now is there are two parts to the software side. There's a server, and the server is OS agnostic or run on anything, and that basically you just send it data, and it then talks to one of the dials. So one dial is different in the sense of this is a hub, it's a master one. It has an additional connector, which is for the USB. All the other ones, they're slaves in the sense of you just daisy chain. They have an in and an out. Okay. It doesn't matter which way you go, but it's just like a serial bus. So as long as you have one master, the server talks to that, and then it flings the information to all the others based on, they all have a unique ID. So the server knows, this dial is expecting to get information from this source.
Okay, so this is coming off the SG10.
Right.
Cool.
And evidently there is a deeper purpose to this meter.
For example, this one is just a countdown for when we can leave and get a drink. You know.
And this is really neat from an analog meets digital sort of way. Okay, this is the Free Flow 1. It's a joint effort from Ncase and Streacom. And the best way to describe the Free Flow 1 is that it's a free-flowing SFF case that brings together many different SFF configurations into one single 16-liter case. Now, it's pretty hard to visualize this case when you just look at it empty because there's just so many ways to do it, but what they're advertising is 6 different configs: a traditional M1 NR200 mini-itx layout with ATX power supply, an A4 sandwich style layout, a short GPU that you can use an ATX motherboard with, or a vertical traditional M1 layout, and one that's reminiscent of the NZX TH1 layout, and finally the meshlicious layout. There will be a tempered glass version as well as a mesh version. Final retail versions and inclusions are still being decided, and they are trying to get these to ship by September this year. The goal here is to land at a very attractive price while reducing some of the headaches related to downsizing to an SFF build, so supporting an ATX power supply and an mini-itx motherboard, or even an ATX motherboard, is key to accomplishing that. While I was asked not to show the interior just yet because this is a prototype, I did get to see the finer details underneath the top, and the quality is very good. This is the ZS800 power supply, which is a well thought out SFX power supply that mainly addresses the issue of cable management.
And then, so we're thinking, how do we apply that to make an SFX PSU more convenient to build with and easier for small form factor in general?
Right.
And so the obvious thing was, okay, let's reduce that 24 pin to 12, you know, to just single 12 volt, and then split it on the other side.
For motherboards with a 24-pin ATX connector, users will use an adapter to connect a slim 8-pin cable coming from the power supply's 10-pin port. And for a 12VO compatible motherboard, users will use a different 10-pin to connect to that 10-pin port on the motherboard.
Then, you know, you basically, you would just unplug this and then go into your motherboard. There is a slight difference in that this is 10-pin and this is 8, because for our module we only need 8. Intel need another 2. So the way we'll do that, there'll be another cable with the 10 to 10.
Oh, okay.
And then it's exactly.
The fan is user replaceable for any 120mm fan, and they've used a knock to a fan as an example for a reason.
We want people to ask, why is there a nocturne on there? And the reason is because, yes, it's user replaceable.
So if I wanted to put a thicker fan on it, I
You
can.
can put a thicker fan, you can put an RGB fan, you can do what you want. You know, the idea.
And the thoughtful detail here is that the cables sit in a recess with connectors turned 90 degrees, so everything is a bit more streamlined here.
Right, but it's 125 with the
And
cable.
you've got a little recess there for the.
Right, so the cables are at 90.
Yeah, that's not something you see normally. So that's
nowhere.
it's-
Yeah.
Kind of addresses the cable management problem.
I did get to check out their OpenAir TA6. This here is a spectacular custom build that joins two DA6s together, but the DA6, it's definitely fine as a standalone single vertical unit. So big thanks to the Streacom and Ncase team for their help here. Thanks for watching. Please give a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.
Lunch, and on to some more here.